Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
This is the reporter, Michael Schmidt, that wrote and broke the story about the Comey memo, the memo which exists. It's James Comey's memorandum of record. That is part of the file into the investigation into Michael Flynn. And this was a little brief New York Times exclusive with the author of this bombshell article yesterday. This is Michael Schmidt.
But this is really sort of the first evidence to date of the president trying to influence the investigation. The most important thing is that the president is not supposed to try and influence or impede any type of FBI investigation. And in this case, he went to the FBI director and said, you know, my national security advisor, Mike Flynn, did nothing wrong, and you guys need to move on from this. Look, I've been spending a lot of time over the past few days trying to understand what went on between Mr. Comey and Mr. Trump, and trying to understand what it was that Mr. Trump didn't like about Mr. Comey, and what was it about Mr. Trump that really concerned Mr. Comey. And in the process of that, I learned that there was a series of memos that Comey had written about every single interaction that he had had with Trump.
Oh my God.
Because Comey was so concerned about what Trump may try and do to the FBI. And he described in detail how Mr. Trump tried to influence him and tried to say to him, hey, you really need to drop this investigation. And Comey put a lot of detail in these memos. The question is that Republicans up until this point have really resisted calls for a special prosecutor. They have said there's no need for that and the Justice Department can handle this. The question now is whether the disclosure that Trump tried to influence Comey is enough to get the Republicans to say, okay, we need for there to be a special prosecutor, we need for there to be a special commission to look into this, because that will prevent the president from trying to meddle with anything.
There he is. That's Michael Schmidt. That's a real journalist. That's a real reporter. That is somebody that actually goes out, knocks on doors, does interviews, makes phone calls, asks for evidence. You know, the obvious question is, you know, why didn't, he's from the New York Times, obviously, and why didn't the New York Times publish the Comey memos? And that's because the New York Times does not have subpoena power. Congress does. In fact, the Oversight Committee and the Intelligence Committee, even the ranking members, I believe, can subpoena these records. And I know that today, each individual from, well, not each individual, but members of various committees, Oversight, Intelligence, House, and Senate, have requested the Comey memos. Now, why they want the Comey memos more than they want the Trump tapes that Trump tweeted, Comey better be careful there, you know, that I don't have tapes, is because I don't think anybody in their right mind believes that there are tapes. But again, Donald, if there are tapes, please be kind, rewind, and let us have the damn tapes. Because today, Elijah Cummings asked for a special commission. Not a special independent counsel, but a whole commission, a 9/11 style commission. And he appeared with Adam Schiff. Now, Adam Schiff's on Intel and Elijah Cummings is on Oversight. And what's so special about Elijah Cummings is he was the first one to ever send a letter to the White House saying Flynn is compromised, so that we keep thinking that the White House didn't know that Flynn was compromised by the Russians until Sally Yates had that meeting with Don McGahn on January 26th, and then another one on the 27th. And then, you know, of course, Flynn is kept and she is fired. But it turns out they knew because Elijah Cummings told them way before. And that is why the FBI interviewed Michael Flynn on January 24th. Here's Elijah Cummings today.
Our chairmen have issued no subpoenas, not one. Now we have this explosive report that the president pressured Director Comey to drop the criminal investigation of former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Last night, all 33 Democrats on the Oversight Committee and the Judiciary Committee sent a letter demanding that Chairman Chaffetz and Chairman Goodlatte launch an immediate investigation into the actions of President Trump, Attorney General Sessions, and top White House aides. Given the gravity of the events that have occurred over the past few weeks, our committee should already be conducting robust and transparent investigations and oversight. It is unacceptable that we continue ignoring these scandals, and that's exactly what they are. We're deeply concerned that the continued failure of the House Republicans to take action in the face of this onslaught of allegations will cause significant damage to the faith that the American people have in the credibility and the integrity of our committees and the House of Representatives.
He's right about that.
Given the gravity of the events that have occurred over the past few weeks, our committee should already be conducting robust and transparent investigations and oversight. It is unacceptable that we continue ignoring these scandals, and that's exactly what they are. We're deeply concerned that the continued failure of the House Republicans to take action in the face of this onslaught of allegations will cause significant damage to the faith that the American people have in the credibility and the integrity of our committees and the House of Representatives. Of course, Speaker Ryan has shown he has zero appetite for any investigation of President Trump. Instead, he appears to have minimized any oversight whatsoever. Last night, our chairman, Representative Chaffetz, tweeted that he wants copies of the Comey memos. He said, and I quote, my subpoena pen is ready, end of quote. The problem is that we have been waiting for months for the chairman to pick up his so-called subpoena pen and use it against the White House. In March, just a month after the president allegedly pressured Director Comey to drop the Flynn investigation, Chairman Chaffetz and I sent a bipartisan letter to the White House requesting documents relating to General Flynn. But the White House completely refused. The White House is obstructing our investigation, covering up for General Flynn, and refusing to provide not a single document, not a single syllable, zilch, nothing. Is this what the White House has been hiding since March? Were there conversations or emails within the White House about the president asking Director Comey to drop the Flynn investigation? We don't know. So yes, I'm encouraged that the chairman sent a letter last night asking for Comey's memos. But we need much more than that, ladies and gentlemen. At this point, it is obvious that we need to subpoena the White House.
Yes.
And to demand the documents that Chairman Chaffetz and I requested in March.
That's exactly right. And so if they've requested documents back in March, which they did, and those documents aren't forthcoming, and the president has them but just won't send them, that also is obstruction of justice because he's now impeding a House investigation into Michael Flynn and others. And, you know, the federal statute, what is obstruction of justice? It's a very simple definition. Now, you could think of obstruction of justice in the violent sense where you kill a witness, of course, right? Or you destroy evidence. Don't know if that happened. But here it is, Title 18, Sections 1503, 1505, and 1512 all have variants of the same language. Obstruction of justice is a crime if someone obstructs, influences, or impedes any official proceeding. Right there, the mere fact that letters have gone out to the White House to produce documents, to produce tapes, to produce anything, that the House Oversight Committee or the House Intelligence Committee or the Senate Intelligence Committee has requested, being unanswered and impeding their ability to conduct an investigation of a man that was fired, Michael Flynn, but not until a story was published about him in the newspapers, and not when he was notified that Michael Flynn had violated statutes with some underlying behavior by the acting FBI director, Sally Yates, or the acting Attorney General, Sally Yates. It's just that right there, in and of itself, is obstruction of justice. Period. You don't even have to go any further. And that's why people know we're in impeachment territory. That's why everyone gets where we are who wants to orient themselves. Now, it seems to me that House Republicans, under the leadership of Dopey Ryan, who doesn't want to dismantle this administration, only wants to dismantle your health care, has that as a goal just so he can prove he can take away an entitlement, which has never been done. His words, not mine. Has a bunch of other addicted dopes around him. And you know they're addicted to dope because they're addicted to Trump and what Trump might be able to accomplish for the very wealthy in this country. And what he might be able to take away from the most vulnerable in this country in order to give it to the most wealthy in this country. And today, the stock market, finally, Wall Street got the message that this man is not long for the gate. This man's on his way out the door, never to return. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. It's a big ass, big crack. But that's what happened today. I mean, the stock market, it didn't crash, but it went down, what, almost 400 points? Did it make 400?
370.
373. Sal in Los Angeles.
Randy, did you like that stock market today? Down 373.
Thank you. 373, yep. Mm-hmm.
373. Let me tell you, I've been scratching my head. I've been in Wall Street a long time, looking at all of the situations going on in Washington. Comey fired, Sally Yates, Lavrov and Kislyev. And I'm saying to myself, why isn't the stock market just fading? It seems to have ignored a lot of this, except I think what you're seeing is you're seeing some Republican senators starting to get ahead of the story. And also today, you saw the fact that tax reform
is
going to be delayed until next year. A lot of the Trump agenda is being dwarfed by the fact that that all of the other situations are in the news, and now if you're facing possible impeachment or all this conversation, it takes all this agenda and it pushes it back big time. And I think the market itself realized that last night. The futures last night were down 110. Okay, this morning they opened up down about 200. They tried to rally a little bit, and then it was just straight down the tank.
Have you?
All right?
Were you able to look at cattle at all?
No, I wasn't. I follow. I'm an equity.
Okay.
All right, but equities.
Why cattle? Why cattle? Because Trump announced that we were now going to export our cattle to China. That's why.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what you look for in something like this. Is a follow-through, okay? Whether it'll follow through tomorrow or it'll bounce back. If you see more negative news coming out, let's say, in the next couple of days, I think we could be in for a bigger correction, all right? When the markets lose confidence like this, and they do lose confidence, it takes, I'll tell you, it could go down like 6%. Before people start, before it starts getting, the environment starts getting better again.
Right.
Another thing to keep an eye on, and where we're all scratching our heads is Look at the 10-year Treasury. I mean, it was trading at a 2.21 today interest rate, and that's another thing that's goofy too. Also, there were a couple of Wall Street technicians saying that Europe's a better place to be than in their markets than our markets. So,
well, our markets do not like uncertainty, and this is what they got.
No, they don't. No, they don't like uncertainty. But the interesting thing about it is, we've had uncertainty for a while, and it's sort of like Wall Street has been ignoring it.
Well, you know why? Okay, here's why I think Wall Street ignored it, because they had most of Goldman Sachs in the administration, and they felt, and I think they felt that Mnuchin and Wilbur Ross, that they were the adults in the room, and that they could shepherd this stuff through, and that they would make sure that unfit man, didn't understand. But, and now we find out, and we've known for a while that they are powerless. That what's really going on is healthcare is stalled, and the money for the tax cuts were going to come from $800 billion that they were taking out of Medicaid, and that can't happen now. So bye tax cuts.
And did you see? I'm sure you saw this. That there's a group of moderate Republicans working with moderate Democrats on the possibility of some sort of a joint bipartisan plan on health care.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know whether that'll ever work, but also they flip out when they see a headline like that too.
Of course.
So, but I really believe, Randy, you have to keep an eye on the markets in the next couple of days.
I will.
Like I said, this correction could be a whole lot bigger.
I will.
Than what we've seen.
I will. I absolutely will. I don't think that the stock market is the economy, but I do see the part that the stock market plays. So I will. I absolutely will.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sal.
Okay.
All right. Have a good one. Bye. He's probably sitting on the 405 going, what the hell? I'll call her. I'm a stock. You know what I mean? Why would somebody want to call me to talk about the stock market? No, seriously, it did. It really finally reacted to the fact that Donald Trump is leaving. And with him will go Mnuchin and the entire Goldman Sachs crew. And no tax cut and no health care bill. The agenda is dead. It is dead. DOA, dead on arrival. 24 after.
The Randi Rhodes Show is live on RandyRhodes.com and the free Progressive Voices app for Android and iOS. Visit the App Store or ProgressiveVoices.com now.
Go to RandyRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.